research. It's a distributed wireless sensor network in IoT hydroponic monitoring system. Okay, here hydroponics is a method of cultivating plants using a mineral solution in water without soil. And solution is a solution to the limited land problem, especially in the big cities like in Korea, for example, or in Jakarta, in some part of the main part of Indonesia. And the air temperature and air humidity and other parameters can affect the growth of the hydroponic plants. So they need to be monitored frequently and consistently. So it's difficult to digitally cover a massive hydroponic plantations. So this is where the IoT comes in handy. So IoT hydroponic monitoring system could retrieve the air temperature and humidity data from several distributed adjacent places or places that are not covered by Wi-Fi. So we need a cost-efficient monitoring system, especially for big plantations where it's impossible for us to put on the Wi-Fi in every single places. So, which is costly actually. We can do that, but it will be costly. So we need a way to sending the data from this distributed microcontroller clients, or we can call as sensor nodes. In this case, we are trying to use NRF24LO1 radio frequency module, and it will be passing the parameters to the microcontroller gateway, which is a central node. Well, that it will be passed to the using the Wi-Fi to the cloud, so we can access and monitor the air temperature and humidity from our phone, for example. So we really need a cost-efficient monitoring system that we can really implement in the large plantation area without even need to consider to invest so many infrastructure like Wi-Fi and so on. So this is the distributed wireless sensor network architecture for the hydroponic monitoring system that we propose. So here the farmer will be able to see anything from the cloud, where actually the data comes from the sensor node, for example, from 5 different locations scattered in the plantation area. So the sensor node on location A, B, C, D, and E, they can each transfer their data between each other. It's like a hub network. They can send, for example, if there's a new sensor information from node A, it can be transferred to node B, to node C, to the central node finally. And then in the central node, it will be sent through Wi-Fi network to cloud. And from the cloud, we can monitor, we can analyze the data and present it to the farmer or to the user from their mobile phone or PC, for example. So this kind of architecture that we are trying to build, where we can easily implement this in the large plantations for the hydroponics without actually thinking about the big costs. So we are using the mesh topology for distributed wireless sensor network architecture, where, for example, here we have only 5 nodes. So node A, B, C, and D, and also E is using it is a sensor node. We are using the NRF24LO1 as the microcontroller, and then as the radio frequency module in the Arduino Nano microcontroller. And then all the data will be transferred between them, and then will be transferred to the node gateway, which is using ESP8266 or other kind of microcontroller that we can have. And then will be sent to the cloud in the later on. So this is a data model that we are proposing. So let me check for a moment. Okay, so the data model here, because we are passing the data between the sensor nodes, so we need to a way to model the data, so we can the data could be transferred between them without losing the value or the data we need to be sending to the cloud. So here, this is the model. Each sensor node will send the data in the form of a string like this one. Let me use my pointer. So this one. So this is the string that we are sending between the sensor nodes through the to the finally the central node. So it will be in the form of a string where we can separate them as like this kind of code. The first one will determine the central node, and this one is the humidity informations, and this one is the temperature informations, and this is the time, and this is the date, and this is the path where the data comes from sensor node A to sensor node C to sensor node E, and finally to the central node. So a collection of data from the source node and the traverse nodes, or also the sensor node, including sensor data, time sets, and real estate. This will be sent to the central node, which will be processed in the cloud and server, so we can monitor them through our phone. So this is the hardware design. The sensor node is in the left side, and the central node is on the right side. So we did some experiments of functional evaluation of the microcontroller, because we really want to implement this in the plantations. So we do some evaluations of the microcontroller sensor node by looking at the OLED LCD display, and also monitoring the display in our PC, and reading the status of the NRF24L01 radio module and the DHT22 module, which is actually a sensor for retrieving the air the temperature and humidity. And then we further check the actuator based on the response. In this case, we use a simple actuator, which is a fan. So if it's too hot, the fan will turn on, and something like that. So this is just a very simple experiment that we're conducting, where the main point is we are first we're sending the data to the central node. So for example, this sensor node has a quite high temperatures. It will be sent to hop from A to C to E, and to the central nodes, and to the cloud, and then the cloud will determine that, oh, this is too hot for the nodes. Then the cloud will send the information again to the actuators on the sensor node A. So it will send through, for example, from E to C to A again, and then finally it knows that one needs to be done, which is turning on the fan, and then it will be turned on, something like that. So this is the right hand side is the sensor node, the client side, and then the upper side also is the sensor node. We are testing the measuring the distance where the radio module can send the data, transfer the data between one sensor node to the other sensor node. And down here on the left side, it's actually the central node, where it will be sending the data to the cloud. So this is data for the sample of the data. The node here determine where the data comes from sensor node D to sensor node E to the central node, and then this is the temperature information, and this is the humidity information, and this is the time of the microcontroller, and this is the time of the server. So the result here, the maximum distance of the NRF24L01 PALNA radio module is 321 meters. So we tried out two different radio frequency module, two versions of it. The PALNA could get a higher, the wider range of the radio frequency, which is, in this case, we tested out 321 meters. And the maximum distance of the NRF24L01 radio module is only 7.35 meters. And the maximum number of characters that can be sent and received by the NRF24L01 radio module is 28 characters. So we really need to compact all of the informations in 28 characters. That's why we are having a data modeling to show that we can send all required important informations, data from the sensor nodes to the cloud. So why we need to differentiate, why we need to experiment on both version of the radio frequency module? That's because we want to see, we want to find a cost-efficient solutions. So in this case, we need to test out the cheaper one, which is the on NRF 24L1, while it has a limitation on the distance. And we also need to look at the higher range, but we don't go to the LoRa. We don't go to the expensive one, because we're focusing on the cost efficient solution for the small farmer. So in this case, it will depend on what they need. If their plantation is very big and they need to send the data from 300 meters apart, then they can use this kind of radio frequency modules. But if their plantation is not that big and they can have several sensor nodes, then they can use the cheaper one with a shorter range. So the conclusion that the design architecture is successfully implemented and executed to transfer air temperature and humidity data and other required data between the sensor nodes to the central node. And the utilization of radio frequency monitoring of the Internet of Things-based hydroponic system is very useful and cost-efficient in sending sensor data wirelessly without using the Internet between the sensor nodes toward the central node. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Wow, Ravi, this is so great. It's so wonderful. You are a doctor, right?
Yeah, I'm a doctor.
Yeah. I should address you well. I think you did so much work on this. It's a very interesting topic.
Thank you.
I don't know whether any of our audience have question for him first before I ask my own question. Do anybody have question for him? Please, if you have question, go ahead and ask. Anybody have question for him? Okay, I just want to know, because can you go to your last before the conclusion slide,
right,
where you are talking about the range and everything, like
let me share it again. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, share screen. Okay, this one?
Yeah, this one. I'm just curious, before this, I just want to know what is the main challenge you have on this, because most of we are using a lot of Arduino work these days. So do a lot of work, especially for undergraduates. Most people are just using a lot of Arduino here and there, Raspberry and everything, but much of Arduino, especially Arduino Uno. So it's really, doing a lot of stuff. So I just want to know, what is your major challenge apart from the range you are talking about here? Because as you said, that you consider cost efficiency because of the farmers, if they are, if they have like a bigger field to cover, they should use something more, like that can cover the distance they needed. But I think the perimeter you have is too short. Like in my own view, don't you think it's so short for big farmers to use this equipment if it's been deployed?
Well, it actually depends on the plantations, the area of the plantations. Sometimes the farmers, this is not only for the farmer, as in the big plantations area, because hydroponics, the idea of hydroponics, we can have the hydroponics plantations, small hydroponic plantations in the city, in our rooftop, for example. So the idea is we want to have this kind of solutions not only for farmer with a big plantation area, but also for people who want to start hydroponic plantations in their rooftop or in a big city. So because hydroponics is easy to set up. and we don't need the soil. We only need the pipe and all of this water and all of that. So even in our rooftop, we can have this kind of
Wow.
hydroponic plantation. So we need to have a cost efficient solution for that kind of guy also. So where they want to have the hydroponics in their rooftop, we shouldn't give them a LoRa with a very expensive radio frequency module. So we need to think about that kind of users also.
Wow, Rabin, I think is really gonna be okay. Like it's gonna improve a lot of our system. This is a great work indeed. So when do you think that this can be achievable? Because you're just in the process of developing, right? When do you think this is achievable?
Well, we are trying to meet several plantations for hydroponic plantations in our area, but we need to think about in the big city where they have a higher building, and in my city we don't have that kind of big buildings to experiment this on. But in a big city like in Jakarta, for example, they have very tall buildings, and maybe they want to implement this in that area, but we need to go through the small part first in our area. So actually it is doable to be implemented, but we currently having discussions with several local hydroponic plantations to implement our solutions, and they're interested in implementing this within this year. So we are very excited to share our technology to the farmer and the farmer and all of that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rabin, for this kind of wonderful research area. I hope our audience has learned a lot. For me personally, I learned so much from here. And we'll go to the next section. Let's try to see if the video is going to work this time with the guy. So you can stop your sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear him now? Can you people hear him now? No voice?
No voice, and
the screen is
a bit.
You can see the screen now.
Yeah, I can see it now, but we can.
How about using our YouTube? Try to use YouTube to log in. Maybe YouTube is working. The YouTube is Smart Cyber 2023. Try to see if you can just live, if it's coming up. Then how about we put them last so that we can see all the videos last, and we can send you all the videos personally. You can watch it at your own convenience. Can you hear him now? Still? Okay. Maybe we should just go ahead to for other people who are presenting. Can send you. Okay. So how about we do the live people first? Presenter 3, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. You can share your slide now.
Right. All right. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. My name is Rodrigue Hagashowote, and I'm a student at University. This is my presentation for my paper called Building a Resilient IT Security Architecture with Zero Trust Intrusion Detection. So as a table of content, first we go through the introduction, then we will see the problem, and then we'll talk about what motivated me or to uh, to do this project, and then we will look. Uh, we'll talk about methodology and results, and then we conclude. First of all, as introduction, IoT is a collection of devices that are connected via the internet. And also, it's a growing area where experts have estimated about 29 billion of connected devices. And also, one major problem is, or concern is security, where like many connected devices, they need to be secured. And for our project, an intrusion detection system is introduced to monitor the network traffic and identify suspicious activities. So next one, oh, sorry. Okay. So the next point includes okay. So the next point includes like introduction. The next, okay. So here we are talking about how actually the actual IoT architecture is not secure. So the conventional idea of network security is based on border security architecture, which means in an organization or somewhere, we have a border, like we separate between an internal network architecture and an external network architecture. The internal network architecture is that architecture that is within the organization, which means if we have, for example, a sales department or a engineering department, those computers in that network is that's the internal network, and the external network is that network from the outside of the organization. So the problem here is that the internal network is assumed secure and trustable, which means that, okay, the external network or the network traffic from the outside is assumed not secure because it's from the outside. So we put mostly the security controls, which include the firewalls or the firewalls or IDS or intrusion detection systems. They are put to filter the traffic from the external network. And it means that the internal network, since it is assumed secure and trustable, it is very vulnerable to attackers that are able to gain access to that internal network and perform their attacks from there. So to prevent such attacks, since we know that like the internal network is assumed secure in organizations, we want to prevent those attackers that are able to break through and use the internal network to attack by redesigning the IoT network architecture. This IoT network architecture, we want to design a new one where security is at the base or is at the core of the network, which means that every connection, either internal or external, is untrusted until it proves that I am trustable, or I am able to be, I can identify myself, and I can be trusted. And then we want also to use a hybrid IDS or intrusion detection system that uses deep learning, provide real-time system monitoring after, like, the network traffic passes through the architecture model we have designed, uh, we are proposing. So as a methodology, we have our proposed model includes a three-phase model. This phase includes, first of all, the redesign of the IoT network architecture, uh, using a method or a architecture model called zero trust model. As I explained, is a model where, like, every device, every node is not trusted at all. And the second phase is preprocessing of data, where as the data received is prepared for an analysis, and that data that is prepared for analysis is sent to the hybrid IDS. That is our final stage of detection. So as a proposed model, this is the architecture. So as you can see here, we have three, I can say two main components I would say that are very important. We have here the segmentation gateway, and we have also here the management server. So this segmentation gateway is implemented in the zero trust architecture. This segmentation gateway will combine all security controls, which means the firewalls, the DAM or database access management, and also the intrusion detection system, or these security controls, and put them into one called a segmentation gateway. And then this management server, we perform access management. We perform those authorization for the network inside the for the network inside the network. I mean the internal network, or to perform the access management or the authorizations, to make the necessary authorization to make sure that every network connection is secure and is trusted. So here we can see from the internet or untrusted, since everything is untrusted, of course. So everything will go through here, IoT gateway, and here it will be first filtered, because here there's this, since it contains some security controls, it will filter out some not normal traffic. And this one goes into pre-processing here, and the pre-processed packets, they go through the hybrid IDS or intrusion detection system. As a quick note, the hybrid intrusion detection system is composed of signature-based and anomaly-based. The signature-based uses database of signature to try to match the packet features. Those packet features can include IP address, anything that any feature of the packet, and then it matches with the database of signatures to check if that network traffic is indeed trustable, or is genuine. And also in the signature-based IDS, we used two machine learning algorithms to match those signatures. First one is the extreme booster, and we have random forests. So the key thing for these signature-based ideas is that the intrusion detection system will check like which one has the highest accuracy rate, and then to choose one machine learning model from here. And then after that, the packets that have been pre-processed will and they like after the packets are pre-processed and checked in the database of signature, when the signature of that packet does not match any of the database of signatures, it is deemed as an unknown. So after that, it transitions to anomaly based or unknown attack based, where that anonymization is done to allow the intrusion detection system to uh to perform better in intrusion detection. And then after that, a gradient recurrent unit model is used to detect the intruder, where the intruder is sent to the management server, and the management server, when it is alerted, it acts accordingly. And also, when a new attack is detected and the signature is generated and sent in the database of signatures for later use or next sections. So as a result, we compare them with the deep belief network and deep RNN and GRU, and you can see that this GRU is our model is GRU, by the way, is 97% in detection rate. And as accuracy, we performed the accuracy rate, and these are the results, where the extreme gradient boost is algorithm has had an accuracy of 0.96, random forest has an accuracy of 0.97, and the far or false alarm rate is 5.6%. As a conclusion, we suggested a model that blends signature and anomaly-based intrusion detection system, where the signature will look for attacks that are in our database and try to match them, find an intrusion, and where anomaly-based will try to find patterns in the packets signatures and find anomalies in those packets, and then detect if there is an attack or not. And then we also merged it with a zero trust concept or a zero trust IoT network redesign in order to reduce the rate of successful attacks. And also, we finished and coupled everything with a hybrid IDS that not only detects those attacks or help us, not only detects those attacks, but also helps us in reducing the rate of successful attacks. Thank you.
Wow, that's so wonderful. I'm so impressed to see the way you explained, about your, the architecture of your work. Anybody in the audience who have question for him? I have Dr. Rabin, and I don't know, is Samsung login? So please, anybody there who wants to ask Roderick question, please go ahead. Any question from the audience first before I ask my question? Nobody, no questions so far? Okay, Rodrigue, please go back to the architecture. I just want to
Here,
yes. Do you have any reason for the color coding of the SG?
oh yeah, actually these ones are I made like this to indicate like the different structure or the different components that are in the SG, the segmentation gateway. Here it is IPS or intrusion prevention system, and here like this one is DAM detection, yeah, database
So
access
which means
management.
each color code is doing something different.
Yes.
Okay, okay. One
Yeah.
more question. This methodology, do you think that it is you can implement it? Have you implemented it, or you're just this is just an idea?
This is mostly an idea, but I think it can be implemented, but we have not done that part. This is an
Okay.
idea using, yeah, a concept.
Okay. Thank you. Please, can we give him a clap? Let's go to the next section. I don't know. Who is Samsung here? Which paper number is that? Samsung SM. Are you for this or you're just a visitor? Anyway, I don't know. Paper number 4. Are you ready for your presentation?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, you can share your slide now.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Or good morning, depending on where you are located. So my name is Samplis Inhungane, and I'm going to present my paper titled Enhancing Information Security, System Security, or a Vulnerability Assessment of Web Application Using OWASP Top 10 list. I am expected to graduate this August in computer engineering at Kyungdong University Global. So I'll take you through the outline of my thesis. I'm going to go through the introduction, literature review, methodology, results, recommendations, and the conclusion. For the introduction, the first question I'm going to ask ourselves is, what is a web application? A web application is basically anything.
Please, can everybody hear him well? Because I think your voice is a little bit low. Just speak up a little bit.
How about now?
Perfect. Now
Okay.
it's very good.
So a web application is basically any distributed application that is run on a web browser. And nowadays, web applications are everywhere. They are in healthcare, they are in shopping, they are in insurance. Everywhere we go, we meet with web applications. But the question is, how secure are those web applications we're using every day, we're trusting with our personal information? So that's what we're going to go through today. So on the question, how secure are websites, there's a study done by White Hat Security that showed that more than 80% of web applications that were scanned during the study had an average of 56% of vulnerability per web application. And the main reason here that was concluded is because the owners of these web applications, they don't really pay attention on the security side, but they wait for the attack, and then that's when they start. When someone is attacking them, let's say if there's a data breach, that's when they start focusing on the security side. So that technique is used, is called penetrate and patch. So that penetrate and patch method has, of course, drawbacks. One of the drawbacks is the fact that patches to mitigate those attacks are rushed because the system is already under attack, the developers are under pressure. The next thing is that the developers only fix those patches are being applied by developers and not security experts. So, and here, that's when I propose an alternative to actually perform a penetration testing on the web app before it gets attacked. So what is a penetration test? A penetration test is basically simulating attacks on a system in attempt to gain access to sensitive data, the purpose of seeing whether the application is secure in case of an attack. So those attacks, they provide information about a target system. They help you know like what kind of vulnerabilities to expect, what kind of vulnerabilities that would actually, if it's a business, would make you go bankrupt. So those penetration tests can be done internally or externally. So internally, a penetration test is performed within the organization network. They mean like the staff itself is the one that gathers and look for and simulate those attacks. But for the external penetration test is conducted remotely. Like it means the business hires a group of penetration testers, and then they conduct the tests remotely. So in this work, we use an external penetration, and we distinguish several types of tests. So we have a black box, which is where like we launch the attacks without knowing exactly what to expect, what kind of systems they are using, without having access to the source code. And then there's the gray box where you have some information but not full access to the system itself. And then there's the white box testing where like you have full disclosure of how the system was built. You are in contact with the developers and everything. So in this work, the problem we're dealing with is, first of all, like what are the most common attacks and how do they operate? The other one is what is a penetration test and how can it be optimized to provide quality feedback to customers more efficiently? And how secure is the web application that we are going to, that was subject of the test. So as a literature review, we went through and discussed the OWASP Top 10, which is the Open Web Application Security project. We chose it because, first of all, it's known worldwide, and it provides a list of 10 vulnerabilities that were most common in that current year. So as a literature review, our work was inspired by Susan Brunson, who conducted a similar work in 2017. But in her case, the approach was using a white box testing. So she had full access to the source code and everything. But in our case, we used a gray approach. So we knew some information about the system that we simulated attacks on, but we did not have full disclosure. So the OWASP Top 10 lists here, we have the first one was broken authentication. This is when like unauthorized access is gained. We have cryptographic failures when the data stored on the system is not encrypted. Injection, we have several types of injection. We have like SQL injections, which is where like the attacker injects a SQL requests and then is able to retrieve data. The other one is insecure design, when they don't pay enough attention on the security side. Security misconfiguration. This is, for instance, when the configuration, let's say of our web application, the HTTP is not used, the headers does not use HTTPS, and then vulnerable and outdated components, which is when the system is using applications that have unknown vulnerabilities or that are outdated. And identification and authentication failures is when like even the people with credentials to access the system cannot access the system. Software and data integrity, and logging and monitoring failures, and server-side request forgery. So the methodology here, we use several tools such as Boopsuit, Netaka, OWASP, ZAP, Metasploit, and other tools. And the approach we used was first of all, we selected the web application that we're going to attack. And the selection was actually the most challenging because not everyone is willing to offer their web application so that we can simulate attacks on them for educational purposes. And also, we didn't want to use the damn vulnerable application because there we already know what to expect. We wanted to simulate something in real life. What is the real scenario? So the next step was to familiarize ourselves with the OWASP top 10, like to know how they work, how you can test them, how you can mitigate them. So the next step was the pre-assessment preparation, where we gathered like all the tools that we're going to use, such as Bobsuit, as already mentioned, OWASP Zap, Nicto, Metasploits, putting together all the exploits that we are going to use. And the following step was the automatic scanning. Automatic scanning, here we use two tools. We use Bobsuit and OWASP Zap. So Bobsuit gave us like an outline, like in the Bobsuit gives a target site. So in the target site, it gives you like all the applications that were used in all the applications that are used to build the system itself. So there you can know like it's like the background of what is being run in the system. So the next step after that was manual testing. So Bobsuit and OWASP Zap gives you a list of vulnerabilities that are there. It could be true, but they are also false positives. So you have to test each and every one manually. You take it, you test it, and you see if it's actually true or not. So it helps to eliminate false negatives. So then after that, the next step was to map OWASP top 10, like the vulnerabilities with each critical vulnerability we found in the system. For instance, if we found injection, we would map it to know exactly how it relates with the list in the OWASP top 10, because we're using OWASP top 10 as a guide. The next step was vulnerability documentation. Here we sat down, we studied the vulnerabilities that we found to, first of all, to confirm if we were actually right or if we're just still dealing with false positives. So after that, the next step was risk prioritization, where we looked at the list of vulnerabilities that were confirmed, and we classified them based on their level of criticality. The critical, high, low, high, medium, low, and informational levels. So after that, the next step was reporting and recommending the solutions, how to mitigate the vulnerabilities that were found in the system. And then the next step is collaboration and follow-ups if the team had questions. So here I gathered some screenshots. For instance, here we were in Bobsuit, we were intercepting the proxies. The next one was the target site I was talking about. Here we can see the services that the system has in detail. The other one is a screenshot of the alerts that OWASP Zap was able to give us that we analyze one by one to make sure that they're actually there, or we're just dealing with false positives. So in the results, as I said, they were classified according to their level of criticality. So we were able to find one high level vulnerability, one medium level vulnerability, and two low level vulnerabilities. So for the first one, the first findings was the usage of components and libraries with known vulnerabilities. Here, we were able to map it as it corresponds to the 9th category of OWASP top 10 list. And the component that were being used was jQuery 11, which already has known vulnerabilities and even exploit how that we can just even payloads that we can just load in Metasploit and then shut down the system just like that. So the next one was the absence of HTTP strict transport security. The other low level was the usage of components and old component and libraries, because we realized that actually they were running on systems that were last updated in 2017, 2019, and even one of 2015, which can not necessarily cause be a backdoor for an attacker, but it's always best to have them updated. So the last one was the missing HTTP security headers. Missing HTTP security headers. So here we found a service called iHela. So that iHela, some browsers don't even allow it to open because they flag it already as a vulnerability. So the next step was talk about recommendations. The recommendations for the first one, we recommended that even the vulnerable library component may not be used by the target web application. So the recommendation was to update it to the most recent version, and the version of components on the server and the clients should be both regularly accounted for. The other one there, for the absence of HTTP strict transport security, we recommended including strict transport security headers in its response. For the users of old component and libraries, the recommendation was to always keep the most recent version of every component. On the missing HTTP security headers, we used the following headers: the non-SNMI, the XXS protection 1, same origin, and no sniff. So the conclusion: this work conducted a comprehensive diagnosis of the Commissioner web application. We identified some key exploits using OWASP Top 10 framework. We used manual observation and tool like Websuit and OWASP Zap for security testing. We revealed some vulnerabilities at various levels, and ongoing research improvement in methodology and conducted penetration tests are crucial for staying ahead of hackers and ensuring web application security. So that being said, rather than relying solely on the programmer not to make mistakes, it's always best to do every now and then to conduct a penetration test just to make sure that the system is updated. So the future work, this work has served to, we used OWASP Top 10 to check if this web application is actually secure, which was flagged to be vulnerable for 4 out of 10 vulnerabilities. But in our future work, we intend to assess the effectiveness of OWASP Top 10. In other words, like, is it really safe to say that if, let's say, you use OWASP Top 10 as a guide, is it really safe to say that your web application is secure? So thank you. I cannot hear you, Professor.
Thank you. I don't know whether anybody in the audience have question for him, please. I think they did justice to this work. It was so like well understood. Anybody in the audience, please? If you have question for him, please ask so I can ask my own question. Okay, in the absence of question, I just want to, I'm curious about this deployment of this application. How are you intend to deploy it and where?
Oh, this is just like in the methodology, I showed the steps that were undertaken to conduct this penetration test. It's not, it's so here, it can be applied on any web application, because after the first step, like the following steps, they can be deployed on any application. And I recommend like anyone with an application, a web application system to use it, because it's always best to know what kind of vulnerabilities you might have before someone takes advantage of them.
Okay, so yeah, your intention is, instead of solving a problem, why not prevent it, right?
Yes.
Like if you have it in place, you don't need to have your work hacked first, then you start checking. you can
Yes.
see them ahead of time. Wow,
Exactly.
that's wonderful. Please, can we clap for him? Good job. So what I'm gonna do now is, because I don't know whether Samsung, are you part of this? Do you have any paper to present? Because we have, please do me a favor, and Roderick, we want to know whether the videos, we have many people put up their videos, whether it is okay now. Then, if not, when we come back for our work, because we have break, we're gonna go break by anytime soon. We'll be on break. Then we come back by 1:20 to continue. We are going by 1 o'clock. But if this is not working, can you join through YouTube to see if it's playing? Because when I put YouTube, it was playing. I could hear the guy talking. So can you just do me that favor to see if when I start sharing about his work?
No problem, Professor. But on YouTube, there is only session 1.
Just same, you just put session 5. Same symbol. Just put session 5 in YouTube. You will find us.
Yes, Professor, it's there.
I mean, is it the voice coming out? Can you hear him?
Not now.
But you can see his slide.
Yes, Professor.
But no voice. No voice. Huh?
There
I
is no
can't hear
voice.
you people. Huh? I mean, if you're watching through YouTube, can you see his slide? Please. And Roderick, can you did I mute myself? Can you people hear me?
Yes, Professor, can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, can you hear the guy speaking from YouTube?
Yeah,
Huh?
I can. Yeah, I
You
can
can
see
hear
his
him?
slide.
Huh?
No problem.
Okay, no voice, but you can see only the slide in YouTube.
Yes.
Okay.
I cannot hear the guy speaking, Professor.
Huh? Then let's go for break and join. I will just allow it to be playing while I'm making another computer to see if it will start using. Please, you people shouldn't go away because we have the closing remark where we are going to give best paper award. Just hang around. It will soon be over. We have so many people. Hello. So I think we better like go break even earlier than the time so that we can join with the video. So I think the guests, do you have presentation? And Samsung, if those people are not those in the list, then it means that we only have the videos while waiting for other people to join us at their own time. Maybe we just listen to him to finish up because I need to start a new section of Zoom to see if we can fix the problem. Okay. So now we have to start a new section. Can you people hear me? Okay.